Hola.
I knew you were going to say that.
Hola y bienvenido a todas las películas horror de Netflix. Me llamo Chris y estoy aquí con mis amigos Patrick.
How long did you have to practice this for?
You know what? I thought about
Cristobal.
I thought about it, but that's yeah. I was impressed at how fluent that sounded.
I was too.
Yeah. I don't know if horror is how you actually say horror.
Horror.
Horror. I don't know. Is
Horror.
that how you actually say it? I don't know.
You got to roll the R.
But yeah. Hi everybody. We got Patrick here. We got Elizabeth here. We got Steven here. And we're speaking Spanish today only because we watched a Spanish-only movie from Mexico. We were off last week. We broke some hearts. But, you know, we were living our lives. We were doing a lot of great things, exciting things.
Great things, like, you make it sound like we were, like, helping out the community or something.
No, we were watching every Lord of the Rings extended edition in a row in one day.
That's why we didn't get to the studio last week. Every horror movie on Netflix became every Lord of the Rings movie on extended edition Blu-ray.
It was amazing.
It was pretty good. It was pretty good.
More or less punishing than this endeavor, what would you say?
Honestly, I would rather do it all over again than watch... Oh, wait, you mean every horror movie on Netflix?
Yeah.
They're both punishing in different ways.
Okay.
I would say more punishing, but I did get to see The Mouth of Sauron for the first time, which definitely is horror movie worthy and will be burned into my brain forever.
Beautiful teeth.
Oh, yeah.
He should have endorsements for, like, Colgate.
Yeah.
We came up with a lot of commercials while watching those movies.
Yeah, so another thing that happened while we were off, we got one of the best gifts of all time. You know, we welcomed y'all to participate in the gift exchange, and
Only one of you did.
Only one of you did. A perfect man, Gregory C. Allen, loyal
Our
listener.
dreamboat.
He gave us a set of these postcards. They're from a Detroit artist, a Hamtramck artist named Mark Rudolph, and it was a series of prints of portraits, ink portraits of famous horror directors. Who do we got? And we divvied them all up amongst each other. I got Wes Craven, and not to...
You were the only one who got a
You got a special
personalized,
commission.
Yeah,
not to
personalized.
brag, is what I should say. Yeah, I got a special commission, an original of James Wan, the horror master, because it was my birthday.
And isn't Billy pictured in that as well? Did he draw that for you?
Yeah.
Oh, wow,
It's
dude.
an
He
original.
commissioned it.
Oh, it's an original.
Yes.
We all got prints.
Yeah, we all got prints,
Oh,
and then I
man.
got an original on top of it. And it has Billy, the saw puppet, on one side, and Annabelle from The Conjuring on the other side. Great.
Oh, well, this is unfair. Greg, I know you're listening. You owe the rest of us a personalized gift.
Mine felt pretty personal. I got Toby Hooper.
No, I'm just kidding. These were beautiful gifts.
We all know
I
I'd love to name drop.
I took
yes.
John Carpenter, of course.
John Carpenter, Toby Hooper. I got Wes Craven. What do you got over there, Elizabeth?
Lucio Del Fucci.
Lucille Fucci, who did Zombie.
I love him. He looks like a nice father figure. And I'm
looks
super excited.
Kind of like Salman Rushdie.
I'm going to hang him in my office.
He does.
Someone
He looks
got-
exactly. Just tell
Oh,
people
yeah,
it's
he does.
Salman Rushdie.
Salman Rushdie. Take him to the library and be like, this is Salman Rushdie. Satanic Verses, that's horror enough.
Fine.
Who got George Romero?
Oh, I took that.
All right.
And I took Stuart Gordon because nobody wanted him.
Okay.
I mean, that's kind of his life story, but
Fantastic. So yeah, great gifts from great people. And so, you know, Greg's about to launch his own little podcast.
I saw some photos on
he and
Facebook.
he and his friends are trying to review every disaster movie.
So they're going to do
Ever.
like all the like Airport 77, 78, 79.
I don't think they're doing it in alphabetical order.
Are they doing like what, like Titanic, that kind of stuff?
They will probably get to that eventually. I hope to be on that episode. But
Wait, is it every disaster movie on Netflix?
No, it's going to
or
be called
just, like-
What a Disaster. I don't know how they're picking them. I don't know the details. But you know what? We'll keep you posted. That's a little shameless plug. You give us swag, we give you a plug. And we're
Now, are we
not
talking
on the
movies
air, so
about
it's
disasters or
illegal.
disastrous movies?
Oh, I don't know. You have to talk
Maybe
to
it'll
them.
do both.
All right.
Well, yeah, send us more gifts and we'll plug whatever you want us to plug. So, whatever. You have a beauty studio. You have
unless you're like
sweaters.
A neo-Nazi.
We live
something.
to serve.
We live to serve. Yeah,
you know
neo-Nazis.
If you're a neo-Nazi and you send me some sick swag, I'll think about it.
If you're a neo-Nazi and you give me a Toby Hooper t-shirt, we could be friends.
Yeah.
We'll work out some kind of deal.
I am not. I want to register. I'm not making any deals with the neo-Nazis.
All right. Well,
all right.
Good
fine.
for you. You can be. I'll be Hugo Boss, and you can be some clothing designer that no one's ever heard of because he did the right thing in World War II.
Oh my gosh! What an analogy.
Okay.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Hugo
Boss.
Have you heard of Hugo Boss?
Yeah.
They made a ton of money making SS uniforms, and now they're still at JCPenney.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, the SS uniforms are not at JCPenney.
No. Anyway,
I feel like they would be very much in fashion under this regime.
These days, there's probably a lot of demand.
Hugo, where are you at?
Okay.
All right.
So yeah, the Mexican film we watched is Archivo 253.
Archivo 253 or something like that.
The kind of authenticity we need to properly discuss this.
Which translates, it's from Mexico.
Yeah.
And it translates, apparently, according to the subtitles, I thought it was like Archive 253, like they're going into like a vault. It's called File 253.
Oh, so the review I have in front of me has it wrong as well.
Oh, what does that say?
This is Archive.
Oh, well, there could be a mistake on the Netflix subtitles. The Netflix subtitles said File, which would make this a Mex file.
Wow. Okay.
Boo.
So what we have here is a pretty standard found footage horror film. We've got 4 young, I guess they're paranormal investigators, but we don't have much evidence that they've done this before. They're going into an abandoned psychiatric hospital. We get a little bit of context at the beginning of the film that there was some evil shit going on there. We've got some interviews with a nurse and a former inmate. And, of course, they go in, they stir things up, and evil is awakened and pursues them. I don't think there's really much more to it than that.
Yeah, that's your movie. Run-of-the-mill found footage. If you've seen other found footage movies, such as, the one that obviously comes to mind is Grave Encounters, which also took place in a mental institution or something. They're not reinventing the wheel here.
And I would almost say this movie peaked, at least for me, in those first few minutes where they're doing the interview shots with people who are actually at the hospital, because that felt really real and visceral and kind of creepy to me and off-putting in a way that the rest of the movie was not at all. It felt like it was going to be sort of a documentary about this place instead of just another found footage thing.
And I'm so confused by that because we never see that again.
No.
And who filmed that stuff? I don't think it was any of the 4 people whose footage we're watching
our
proceeding from there.
Yeah.
No, because one of the interview subjects is like, "Oh, are you interviewing me about those 4 missing people?"
Right. Yeah, so where did that come from? Why was that dropped in?
Well, there was some stuff at the beginning, information about the hospital. It was this was open from this year to this year. Mm-hmm. It closed suddenly. I think maybe that was just to supplement that and get us into the creep zone.
It was disappointing though because I thought it was going to be a mockumentary. It was going to be a documentary horror film.
That would have been sweet.
That would have given it some much needed structure, I think, and a break from just the it's kind of relentless night vision camera that we're used to in these sorts of movies. Mm-hmm. I found this to be a real snooze.
You know what? Snooze is right. I have a strong threshold for snooze in these movies. I have not zoned out or slept or left the room for a single one of these movies. I was having a hard-ass time staying awake through this. Nothing fucking happens in this movie.
Nothing happens. We get, pigeons, a couple of jump scares. That's it.
Well, I thought to myself when this movie started, I was like, okay, cool, because it's a good premise. A closed mental health institution is creepy, and these people seem sort of just the right amount of bumbling. So I was like, oh, they're totally gonna fuck stuff up, but also they seem to have the right equipment. They had things that glowed when there was a ghost nearby or whatever.
What was that thing?
No, it's fine. It was just it was just 20 minutes of that would have been fine. An hour and 10 minutes of that was a snooze for sure.
The real indicator of how little I just found to remark about in this movie at all is every movie I take some notes on my phone, and sometimes I have like a shitload of notes. You guys know, I'll be like, oh, I want to like
mostly lines from the movie.
Yeah, I'll say a line, and I'm like flipping through my iPhone trying to find the line. I took no notes for this at all.
I took one note, and then I realized I was wrong about what I'd just written down, so I crossed it out, and then I just started journaling about something else while I was watching this movie.
Yeah.
What's the thing
You
that
started writing a new movie.
I should have, yeah.
What's the thing that the only thing that I took note of is what does he yell?
Besides Diego.
No, he yelled.
Mana fiestare.
It's like manifest yourself.
Manifestate, I think it was.
Manifestate.
For minutes on end.
Yeah.
Show yourself.
Show yourself.
That was a little tense because I just like the longer it went on, the more I was like, why is he so interested? I don't know. I felt like he was almost an audience surrogate. Like, make something happen in this goddamn movie now.
I was puzzled because these people are all supposed to be ghost hunters. They're going to a fucking mental institution.
I was confused about that too. We don't know anything. What gear do they have? They have that little thing that looks like the Fisher Wallace simulator, and that's it. They have a camera and they have a boom, but they don't seem to know what they're doing.
The tape recorder. They seem to have sort of a process down for what they were doing.
I didn't get the sense. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I didn't get the sense that they'd really done this before. Like there was a lot of confusion about like when they went in. Like did they have permission and blah blah. It seems like they're just kind of like urban explorers.
It seemed like they were like first time.
Yeah, like
hunters.
They've broken into buildings, but this is the first time. Like, oh wait, maybe we can capture a ghost. Let's buy some stuff and see how this works. I didn't have the sense that they were like experts or they knew what they were doing in any sort of way.
None of it's fleshed out at all. You kind of get a sense of their relationships to each other, but nothing beyond that.
Those are so weird too, because who are these people? Like so two of the dudes make sense. There's like a guy who films and a guy who holds the boom,
who's super bitchy.
Yeah, and then there's this like young girl who. Why is she there? She doesn't want to be.
Her boyfriend's her boyfriend.
Maybe you would have some insight into that.
I mean, her boyfriend is there too, I guess. But then. Like, it's super weird because there's this, like, little off scene at the beginning where, like, they pick her up and then one of the other dudes is like, so, how's your boyfriend in bed? And she's like,
Yeah, it was just to establish that those two are boyfriend-girlfriend, even though that really doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter ever.
Well, I mean, it matters because she has an emotional reaction to what happens to him.
She does. There are a couple of moments that I kind of liked, but we can get into that later. It's pretty. But
my overall point, though, I mean, so I guess you can argue whether they're experienced or not experienced. But I mean, the fact that this guy had this equipment, the Manifestate guy. Well, I forget his name. Diego. Diego seemed to know what he was doing and seemed to have some confidence, almost to an absurd degree. And then the other three were just like pussies by comparison. It's like you decide to go to a mental institution and invite ghosts to come talk to you, and you're like fucking whining and whimpering about it.
Here's something about this mental institution. This is like one of the most nondescript sets I've ever seen. Like, it looks like an administrative building that's been abandoned. There's no like, electroshock therapy machines or like beds anywhere. There's no medical equipment.
This movie was made for like $40.
I mean, I'm pretty sure they did just use an abandoned building. For sure.
Like, and that's one thing actually we'll give this movie some credit for, is that it does what it's trying to do on no money.
It's just not trying to do very much. Here's the thing, though. Apparently, I should pull this up just to make sure that I get the credits right. There were a couple of special effects people involved, which puzzled me because I didn't really notice any special effects in this movie. As somebody who worked on Predator worked on this film.
There was like one little demon. One demon one time.
I thought that all the demons were CGI, but I could be wrong. It could have just been people wearing rubber suits or something.
What kind of special effects are we talking? Are they like CG dudes or model makers or...
All right, so we have Daniel Cordero, who did the special effects for Predator and Narcos, the Netflix series, and visual effects supervisor Raul Prado, who worked on Let Me In. But I can't really tell what they did. And if you've got people with that level of talent, I mean, one thing this movie really could have used just as a run-of-the-mill found footage movie is some more gore, some more monster stuff.
Monsters, for sure.
More spookiness in general.
I mean, the thing with that set is, to me, it was like the anti-Die Hard. People always talk about Die Hard and how you set up that hotel and you have a sense of the geography of the hotel. And this building was like especially towards the end, you're running and running, and you have no idea where the fuck anyone is. There's so much geographical confusion.
I am nodding. How would you describe
Vehemently.
Vehemently.
I am vehemently nodding because I had the exact same thought about the geography, because the geography becomes important because characters are constantly referencing,
And, like,
oh, we've been here, oh no, but it all looks the fucking same to us.
Yeah.
It looks like they shot the whole thing in like one hallway in 2 different rooms.
Yeah.
There's a part towards the
Tried to
end-
make it feel like a bigger space than it really was.
Exactly.
Which is probably what happened.
I'm sure.
But hey, you know, whatever. I mean, it worked well enough, I guess. There's the part at the end where she's like, you know, trying to escape, and you see some of the stuff that was set up well in the beginning, so that's okay. Including a big wall. I thought was symbolic that she runs into a big wall at the end, but it's a Mexican film, but that's just me projecting.
Well, I know that found footage found footage movies can be like this, but like this movie, especially towards the end, made me so nauseous. Like I had to get up and like walk around
Don't watch it on a big screen.
It made me so sick. And is that how all found footage has to be, or is that
No.
just bad filming?
No, it's just bad.
I've never had that reaction to a found footage movie before, but I did feel nauseous during this. And I don't know if it was a separate stomach issue I had, or there was something uniquely nausea-inducing about this movie.
It was like the combo night vision and just the like running and bouncing. I was like, oh.
It's probably hard to do because you want to communicate that it's handheld footage by scared people and make it look like it's uncontrolled, but also you want to control it so that people aren't losing their lunch.
And I didn't feel like there was very much control going on here in
No.
this film. God, you know, this movie's just so unspooky. One thing that drove me crazy, one thing that stood out is like there's a scene where like it's supposed to be scary that there's a light on. You know what I'm talking about? Like they're filming in the hallway and there's a light on, but there's not supposed to be power. And it's like we're just looking at a light that's
I thought
on. There's
that was
nothing
incoherent. Yeah.
There's nothing spooky about it whatsoever. Like, I don't know how you could make a light bulb turning on scary anyway, but there's nothing, like, there's no suspense or anything built up around it. They're just watching footage of, hey, last night there was this light bulb lit up in the hallway. Pretty creepy, right? There must be ghosts in here.
The light bulbs I did like were the light bulbs on the little device. You guys are talking shit about that, but I like the device.
Yeah.
I feel like Ghost Hunter. I feel like I've actually seen, ghost hunters in real life. I feel like I've seen someone use one of those devices.
Yeah. So
that's a thing.
It's
right?
one of these like handheld things that measures like electromagnetic radiation, whatever that they use to hunt ghosts. It's a thing or something
They
like it.
explain
is a
it
thing.
very well, but I wasn't paying attention.
What pissed me off is there's the pivotal part of the movie where he's like talking to the ghost and he's being like, if you're a ghost, make 3 lights light up. And it's like, that's such an arbitrary, like the ghost is just there and the thing's detecting him. It's not like the ghost is trying to make the lights light up. The ghost probably doesn't even know how to fucking work the thing.
Yeah.
Fucking millennials.
Well, anyway, the ghost does it. He lights up.
He doesn't light up 3 though. That was what really puzzled me about that scene.
It's like
I wasn't sure what we were supposed to be getting out of that because it kind of buzzed, but it wouldn't get up to 3 lights.
It's like a UV meter, so like it does like get up to 3, and it does get up to 5, and then immediately scales back down.
Yeah, it was. I'm glad they did it that way instead of having it be like, oh, 5 lights on, solid, flashing when he says 5 or whatever.
I guess what I liked was the one scene at the end where you slowly saw it pick up, and then it was like full blast 5 lights.
That's good enough.
That's fine.
But this movie I thought was I did like it at first because I thought it was setting up a slow boil. Mm-hmm. And it didn't go anywhere.
It never
It was
boils.
barely a simmer.
It never boiled. It's like when I'm trying to make a pot of pasta on my faulty stove and the burner stops working after 3 minutes and I'm just watching it and I touch it and it's cold and I got to put it on another burner.
Yeah,
A watched pot never boils.
Well, I think, I thought about this and I was like, all right, if the 4 of us made this movie, I would feel proud.
Well, yeah. If you make a movie, you should be proud.
But
It's the Mike Rutkowski effect.
It brings us back to the age-old question, why are these movies getting out anywhere? Like, this should be something that you show your friends and enjoy and feel proud of in your hometown. Why is this on Netflix in America?
This movie was #1 in Mexico.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it probably wasn't.
I didn't do any research on like did it get a theatrical release, whatever. But why does this movie exist? I don't understand. I understand why it exists. I don't understand why we know about it.
That's my question.
The thing that bothered me about it is it really has, other than the fact that I haven't watched one of these from Mexico before, it brings nothing to the table that you can't find in countless other found footage films and better found footage films.
It's a found footage ripoff that doesn't have any personality, that doesn't seem like there's any motive behind it other than to just make a cheap movie for cash to glom onto an existing industry that has proven to be successful. That still is. We still get found footage movies. I mean, it's still a big draw for some reason.
Still a thing, for sure.
And I mean, I think that the way that it was filmed too made it impossible to get to really like or know any of the characters, because you just got like poorly filmed angles of their, like, you didn't see their reactions, or you didn't really like get to hear their conversations with each other when in like, you know, you didn't get to hear the things that make you like interested in characters. So all those people were just like, oh, okay.
Well, to kind of explain the action, they go into this psychiatric hospital. They're like camping there for like, they're planning to camp there for like 3 days to do their investigation or whatever, and nothing happens, and they see nothing interesting, and they do nothing interesting, and then eventually they detect a ghost, and this one guy, Diego, basically goes batshit and keeps taunting it and saying, manifest yourself, show yourself, and eventually just pisses it off. And it seems like one of those, like, oh, he's so stupid, why did he do that? You know, and I kind of took a screenwriting lesson from this, which is that, like, that would have worked a lot better if we knew why he gave a fuck to see this ghost.
Well, another thing is, you know, in a movie like this, you kind of assume that everybody's going to die except for the last girl. In
found footage, you assume everyone's going to die.
Oh, right, because the footage gets found. They're all dead. They're all dead. Yeah, so I don't know. We'll talk about the ending of this movie. I didn't feel enough about these characters to want to see them die or make poor decisions like try to summon a ghost. I had just no connection to them whatsoever. I mean, that was in a way a screenwriting lesson for me. It's like you can see how they tried to build the characters when they're in the car on the way there and like teasing each other a little bit.
For all of 5 minutes.
Right, I have
maybe
no idea
less.
who they are.
You have no idea who
this
they
is
are.
a movie where you're just watching people behave in the sparsest setting possible, and it's insane to think that you could spend an hour and a half with them and know nothing about them. I'm surprised we remember their names. It's only because they're shouted so many times down these long corridors.
That's right. People criticize horror movies when the characters do stupid stuff, like, oh, don't go in the basement. And I realized watching this movie that you can have a character do all kinds of stupid stuff in a horror movie as long as you give us a reason why they're doing stupid stuff. People do stupid stuff all the time. They just have reasons for it. So if you establish that this guy, like, really needs to see this ghost because of some personal demon, and that's why he's taunting the ghost and pissing it off.
Case in point, Dark Song.
A Dark Song, exactly. Yeah. Like, yeah, everything they do in the Dark Song is stupid, but they have reasons for doing it.
Well, I did like that about this, because usually that is a huge problem. I mean, in movies that we've watched, where it's like, don't open the door, don't go in the owner's closet, don't rent a house that smells like a dead Mayo, whatever, you know?
Yeah.
And at least with this, I mean, maybe you were saying this, maybe you were arguing the opposite of me, but at least at the beginning of this, it was like, okay, they're ghost hunters. Makes sense for them to break in here and, like, poke around.
Well, yeah, but we didn't know enough about that. That's kind of like saying, well, they're tenants, so of course they rent the house with the dead. But, like, we just don't understand.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, though. Why does Diego want to see the ghost so much? Why are they even ghost hunters in the first place?
To be reckless about it. You know?
Yeah.
Well, speaking of motivations, I mean, this is a problem with a lot of found footage movies. Some, like the Paranormal Activity movies, have really figured it out, and I think done it cleverly. I didn't really understand what the motivation for filming most of what we saw was. I didn't get the sense that the cameraman, Mateo, is that his name?
Right.
We rarely see him in front of the camera, so he's
No, Mateo was the big guy who was a sound guy.
Oh, he was Charlie.
Charlie. What was the girl's name?
Her name was
Isa.
Isa.
Yeah, Isa.
And he calls her inexplicably Isabella Rossellini.
Yeah.
But it worked because I remembered her name.
Sure, yeah. Well, they did that well. Yeah, I didn't understand why this guy, I don't know what his drive was. I mean, there's scenes where, like, his friends are in peril and he's pausing to point the camera. There's a scene where two people are holding each other crying and he's filming them.
And she says, don't film me.
And he keeps filming, right? Or does he turn away?
Well, there's a scene where the Isa, who's the most emotional one because she's female, apparently.
But I didn't have a sense of, like, in a movie like this, like, whoever holds the camera is really the director. And I didn't have a sense of, what his motivation was, what he was focused on, what he was trying to capture in the world of this film.
He's scaling a fucking wall, and he's still filming while he scales the wall himself.
Yeah.
You know what? These days, these millennials, they'll put anything on YouTube, make a vlog.
Yeah, but they do it with a GoPro at least.
Yeah. Yeah. Well.
And sometimes they find dead bodies and get banned from YouTube.
Yeah, if these guys did not die, they would have met a fate worse than death, which is banned from YouTube.
I actually thought that while watching this.
Well, yet again, a great example of something that could have been a short film.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
one I wouldn't bother with at all, but yeah, sure.
But cut it all. You can cut 45 minutes of this movie.
I mean, yeah. I
You
will
can cut
say,
an hour and 13 minutes of this
Put
movie.
it in ABCs of Death. M is for mental.
It gets intense towards the end if you like movies where there's people screaming and they're afraid and you feel like you're in it with them.
Oh,
and
that's like ASMR for me. I go to sleep the sounds of people screaming.
And they're like realizing that they're going to die. Then like, yeah, okay, fine. Watch this movie. I guess some found footage people are probably really into that.
It's bullshit, but I couldn't bring myself to be angry about it.
Yeah, that's how
I'm like,
I
I felt like
wasn't
everyone
mad.
involved, again, it's like, if your friends made it, you'd be like, great, you made a movie, now go make something good. Like, you learned how to put something together, but like, go and like actually do something with your life. But yeah, I couldn't hate. I mean, I felt like the actors were all fine for what they were given.
Yeah.
They weren't.
It was fine. It was just a waste of our time.
A waste of our time, a waste of your time for listening to us ramble about it too, probably.
I'm curious about this nausea issue. Did you guys feel that at all?
No, but I thought about... So,
Briefly
it's funny
once.
that Elizabeth mentioned that, because I do remember when I think... I can't remember what movie. There was a found footage movie that came out, like, I think pre-Paranormal Activity, post-Blair Witch Project.
Cloverfield.
Was it... Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, Cloverfield. Where, like, there were reports of people leaving the theater vomiting.
Yeah.
And when I saw this, I've never had that experience, but it just kind of, like, flashed on, like, oh, yeah, I wonder if this is going to make me feel sick. It's never happened before, but, like, this seems like the kind of movie that might do it. But, no, I didn't have that experience.
Watch it like in your Netflix browser on your computer with like other stuff on the screen to like center your balance.
I'm
So
just
what you're
wondering.
saying is you watch this movie in a heavily distracted state.
No, I know. I'm saying that's how you should watch it if you
Okay.
don't want to get sick. I watched it on,
I mean, I'm saying that's how you
Big
should
screen.
watch it if you want to, like, improve your life in some way, but also incorporate this movie into your life.
why would I want to improve my life?
I'm just wondering what it is that induces the nausea specifically.
I think
Because,
it's if
like,
you
I mean,
identify...
Blair Witch is super jerky, but I don't remember like feeling nauseous while watching Blair Witch.
I think it's the jerkiness. It's the no focal point. It's the night vision. I think that greenish color.
Not
Yeah, it's
understanding the
putrid-looking.
geography, probably.
Yeah,
And a lot of the shots in this are super close-ups. So a lot of the time you're looking at like just like a shaking like doorway as someone's like running to it, and that's just like, oh, my brain.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
guys.
No, that's
Fuck
that. Found footage.
Yeah.
Let's-
Patrick, would you cue it, view it, or screw it?
Screw it,
All right.
and throw in a couple of barf bags with that too.
Yeah. I would screw it, but nice job to those 4 young people who made this movie. You should show it to your friends.
You mean the actors?
Yeah.
Who played the people making the movie?
What about the director? What should he do with it?
Yeah, the director and actors.
Show-
They
show
should show
friends.
it. You show it in your local town.
And you know
In
what?
your pueblo.
See.
Give us a shout on Twitter, Instagram. You can email us. You can Facebook us. We'll have you on the show. We'll find out how you got this movie made. Right?
How
Oh,
did
yeah.
that get
Would
made?
love to know.
Oh, that'll be a challenge.
We'll have to hire a
Chris
translator.
is going to really have to bring his skills to bear on that
He
conversation.
may speak English. Who knows?
It's possible.
Yeah, screw it. Screw it. I could not recommend it. But I also can't, like, spill vitriol on it. It just didn't move me at all.
It's not anger inducing. It's just boring.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Chris?
I would say screw it as well. I think there was this moment during the movie where I thought it might be earning itself a cue it, but didn't get there. It's a screw
I
it.
want to know what that moment
I don't
was.
know. I
too.
forget. I
Was it the light bulb?
no.
It was Diego's butt.
It was Diego's
Oh,
ass.
Diego's
That's what I was
butt,
gonna
like,
say.
legit turned me on.
I did
was
like
so-
a couple. Sorry.
I did like
Continue.
Diego's butt.
We don't have to go
Chris
into
was gonna
that.
say.
He had a nice butt.
There were a couple things I liked. I liked how this is a movie where kind of you get the feeling that the ghosts are angry because these people are being assholes. Like, they're playing with their shit, they're knocking over their stuff, they're yelling at them, and that's when they all... Well, spoiler room territory. We'll tell you what happens. So I kind of like that. And then there was like just minor details I like. I pulled a couple like minor shots and things. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. But yeah, screw this movie. Unless you're a super found footage freak.
Then you would probably
like the writers at foundfootagecritic.com, which I didn't know existed until I Googled this movie. And normally you have like the Metacritic and Rotten Tomatoes score on the right pane, but it's like Rotten Tomatoes and Found Footage Critic. And I love this website. I recommend checking it out if you're interested in like the mechanics of this genre and the evolution of it. It's actually, everything's pretty well written, interestingly structured.
I would like to take a look at that, actually. I just wonder how many found footage movies there are at this point, sort of what the heyday was for them.
Oh, I can tell you.
I'm going to take a look. You've inspired me.
We can take a pause. We don't have to include this, but I can tell you right now. Oh, they're not numbered. There's a fucking shitload, though.
Yeah.
Okay. Hundreds.
Yeah,
Are any of them not horror?
Because I could make one, like, tonight in my house by myself.
Yeah.
So, of course, there are a million of these things out there.
Are there any that aren't horror?
That's a really good question. It's just Found Footage Critic. But, like, we assume that if it's found footage, it's because someone's died, but did they have to die in a horrific way? Maybe it's I found my grandfather's home videos of his affairs from when he was in his, late 50s. And I don't know.
It's like that Michael Keaton
That's
movie
a great
where
idea.
he makes like court recordings for his kid because he's going to die.
What movie
Sounds
is that?
amazing.
That's a movie. I don't know the name of it, but it's a movie.
That's a movie.
Yeah, tear jerkers. All right.
Oh, man.
Well, if you want fancy yourself a found footage critic, you might want to check this one out, despite our recommendations. Or you can follow us after the break. We're going to the spoiler room to tell you more details about this film.
We're going to need night vision in there.
See you soon.
Bienvenidos otra vez.
Al cuarto de spoilers. So we're still talking about Archivo 253.
We're down here in the dark. We've got the night vision turned on in our camcorders so we can see each other.
Yeah.
We're all looking pretty green.
Everyone's got spooky black eyes.
Yeah.
You know, people in infrared cameras look spooky.
Well, it automatically makes you look like an alien.
And I like
right?
movies that... This isn't a movie that particularly takes advantage of that, but it's an unsettling thing. I have a little handy cam at work with the little infrared thing on it, and sometimes I go back in the back and turn off all the lights and look at myself, and I'm like, whoa, who is that man?
That's a weird little vision into your private life.
That is such an anecdote. I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
And you still haven't watched Zero Dark 30.
Anyway, so what happens in this fucking
it's
movie, guys?
Dark times in El Hospital because because the ghost has manifested itself after being bothered by these people for days.
Harassed,
to say the least. And you know what? It's tired of it. So it starts fucking with them.
I mean, yeah, it does. Just kind of gently, I guess. Like I didn't sense like there's a lot of chaos in the camera movements, but I didn't think anything like really all that crazy was going on.
There's one thing I like that kind of happened before everything went to hell, but it was spooky when they're all sleeping, and then you have the camera being held apparently by a ghost watching.
That
them.
was creepy.
That was creepy. And how about a found footage movie that runs with that concept? Found footage, but the ghost has the camera.
That's a good idea.
That's
Copyright patent right now.
Yeah,
they should have just gone with that from that scene forward. The ghost has a camera.
The ghost has a camera.
And
Everyone's
films
"Where's
of
our
people
camera?
dying."
Where's their camera? And they have another camera, but then there's a ghost that has a camera. So you see the ghost like creeping around watching them.
And you like see them like looking around, and like there's a view of them from the back.
There's got to be a found footage movie kind of like that, right? Where there's like found footage like through the eyes of a serial killer or something. I'm sure that's a thing.
Well, we can look on foundfootage.net.
Yeah. Anyway.
That's a foundfootagecritic.com.
Hey, how much...
Enter offer code AMON for 20% off your first order.
Yeah, how much swag did that website give us for Christmas?
0 so far.
Yeah, then don't say their fucking address.
No, but I mean, the biggest problem is that when things do start happening, you can't really tell because like people are coming in and out of rooms and stuff, and you're like, oh, did a ghost just take someone? Nope, they just went into the other room. Now they're back, and people are yelling and crying because it's upsetting, and you don't really know what's going on until you see Diego butt naked standing against a wall.
And there's so much hair. There's
what was
hair. That was weird.
Yeah, they start exploring around, and what is that? Like sort of an attic or something?
It looks like, I thought it was a swimming pool.
Yeah, it looks like a pool or a bathing area.
But it was kind of
have hair floating.
a confined space, though, right? It had sort of a low ceiling. From what I remember. I don't know, but yeah, there was like hair everywhere.
Tons
of dark hair.
Maybe that's a cultural
hair,
thing.
clumps of hair.
Maybe it's something we're not getting. Maybe there's something in Mexico with like ghosts.
I got the impression
and
it was the hair because, like, a
know.
lot of the time they'll shave patients' heads
Okay.
to do. So I got the impression maybe it was just all the hair from that.
Well, I have a theory. I don't know if this was in Panama or Guatemala or whatever, but on one of my many travels, I'm a very worldly person.
Jesus Christ.
They had a market where I saw a big pile of like clothing, and I guess like when you donate clothes in the United States or in a lot of places in the world, it kind of makes its way around the charity circuit, and a lot of it ends up in these big piles in these third world markets where it's either free or very cheap.
Well, that's why you see pictures of kids in Africa wearing like Pittsburgh Steelers t-shirt.
Exactly. So we know
Nickelback tank tops.
so we know they made this movie for like no money. It looks like. So maybe like when you give to lots of love, maybe just sometimes it ends up in a big pile.
That was a stretch.
That
I was wondering where that was going.
And they're like, "What can we get for cheap?" Well, we can just go to the pile
can get
of hair
hair
in the market.
what can we get a lot of that would look weird?
I'm sure that doesn't happen to your locks of love, but anyway.
Anyway, so there's hair everywhere. They're being chased by ghosts. Fucking Charlie gets carried off down the hallway very unceremoniously. It's kind of silly looking.
Yeah, he's kind of hovering there, and there's all this tension built up around what's going on with him. And finally, you get to him,
tension,
and he just they attempt to build
what you mean.
tension, whatever. There's a
mean.
lot of build up around that moment, and then he just kind of gets sucked down the hallway.
There should have been like a slide whistle as he went down the hallway. It was so ridiculous.
Yeah,
but they're getting picked off one by one.
They're screaming. Sometimes the camera's battery is dying, which amounts to like just going black sometimes, and you can hear them saying, "Oh no, something's touching me."
And that's how
the
battery on a camera works.
It's sad that the battery dying didn't give them the hint that, we should put the fucking camera down and deal with what's going on. I guess part of it is they need the night vision to see. That's sort of a trope in these movies.
I don't know. They had flashlights.
Did they have flashlights?
Absolutely, yeah, they had flashlights.
Well, they should have had better flashlights then.
Yeah.
They wouldn't need this goddamn camera. Which, how distracting would that be? Because it seems very deliberately pointed. Like, Charlie is, or not Charlie at this point, is like clearly like looking through the camera at what's going on while he's being pursued by a fucking ghoul.
Yeah, it could have been the night vision was
such a
helping
vulnerable
him.
Position.
I don't know. I mean, there's the video game Outlast that I've been playing, where like a large part of the concept is you need your camera to see in the dark, so you're looking through it most of the time. It's kind of a found footage video game, but they're not giving us any money either, so I'm not going to talk about it.
So
I'm
trying to remember now. Refresh my memory. What happens to the other character? So the one guy, Mateo, right, is the one who gets sucked down the hallway, or is that Charlie?
That's Charlie, who's standing up in the hallway, hovering.
That's Charlie. Right. Mateo, he almost gets murked in the vent because he's like crawling through a vent.
Oh, he's having such a hard time,
and you think he's going to die because they're like, "Oh, it's right behind you," and he's just like chilling,
making no effort. To be fair, he is. As a smoker, I think he's worse than I am. He's smoking like every second he's on screen. He looks very unhealthy. He looks like he's probably on the Trump diet.
He's gassed like McGregor.
He's having a hard time getting down that hallway, but I don't think that's how he dies. What ends up happening?
No, he gets out of that, and then what happens?
Because he and Issa are the last two left, right?
At one point, she just like turns around, and he's there, and she's like, "Oh, Mateo," and his throat slit, and she's like, "Oh no."
Oh. I missed that.
Yeah, he's just standing there, and like she's like, "Oh," and there's like blood running down his head, and like I think his neck's cut or something, and he's dead.
And then the ghost, so then Diego in some form returns and is like calling to Issa, and so she is following. But who's filming at that point?
She is.
Oh, she's filming, and she's like chasing him, and she ends up actually getting back outside.
She makes it outside. She makes it, and so that's cool because you see the same
but
places.
not home free.
But yeah, because they had a hell of an effort getting over the wall at the beginning of the movie, and then she gets back out, and the wall's still there. There's barbed wire on top. She's not getting out that wall, and then she sees this, Diego impersonator.
Yeah, whatever.
And then just
Come on, follow me.
And then just the most inexplicable, anticlimactic
The worst.
final scene
What the fuck?
imaginable.
Could somebody,
what
like,
fucking happened?
So she follows Diego into a room, and all of a sudden a piece of the floorboard shoots up with a bang, and she
That's it.
collapses.
But like the floorboard's well on the other side of the room.
Yeah, far away.
Yeah, it's just kind of a Blair Witch Project thing where like, she got hit by him, we'll never know.
It is, but Blair Witch Project was creepy because you didn't know what happened. You didn't see what happened. In this, it's almost like you're supposed to understand what the fuck is going on. It's like, oh wow, the floor got her.
Whoa, there's a missing tile
But
here.
The Blair Witch
Scary.
Project was creepy because you didn't know what was going on. It was just pointing. Doesn't the Blair Witch Project end with like just pointing at a wall and you're just hearing scraping sounds in the background as they're getting fucked up?
No, there's a guy. She's looking for her friend in the creepy ass Blair Witch house, and then she sees her friend like staring in the corner of the wall, and she freaks out, and then like just the camera hits the floor, and that's it.
Yeah.
So not too dissimilar from what happens here, but yeah, I don't
It's
know, whatever.
ambiguous.
It doesn't matter what happened. I didn't care what happened to her. I'm like, well, she's probably going to die. I was hoping there would be some sort of cool, like something terrifying at the end.
I just wanted to finally see, like, with all of these movies, all we want is to see the alien baby, see the demon, all this stuff, and it's like we don't get what we want ever.
And
It's often unsatisfying when you do, at least when it hangs on camera for too long. But in this movie, we don't get nearly enough.
This
I'm
movie
with
did a
you.
good job of not hitting you over the head and showing you all sorts of spooky stuff. Like,
Yeah, if
But
a
you wanna
good
see it
job is considered
eventually.
making a boring fucking movie,
Well,
they did a great job.
true, but what I'm trying to say is that they could have put something gratuitous in at the end, and it would have been fine because they had a lot of restraint with showing spooky stuff throughout.
Like, have a
been
demon
chilling to
scuttle
have.
across the wall or something. Or have her fall and then have the camera get, like, slowly picked up.
Oh yeah, and just like the camera's filming her dead body.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that's something serial killers do and not ghosts.
Well, the ghosts already filmed them
see
when they
that-
were sleeping.
Yeah.
We see that weird goblin though, which I was wondering what the fuck that thing was.
No
We
idea
see
what
the
it
goblin
is.
for exactly like it has to be less than 5 seconds of screen time total.
We don't know enough about this hospital, and it's the thing, like the opening, the inexplicable documentary footage at the beginning, and we don't know where it came from, who filmed it, or why. Sets up that like something amiss went on in this psychiatric hospital. Like I felt like, well, maybe there was like a cult or something, like some bizarre ritual, whatever.
That would've been
we don't
cool.
really know.
It says there
so,
were
like, I don't-
exorcisms.
Exorcism, that's right.
Yeah.
And so we don't really know what happened here, or like who or what this ghost is and why they want revenge. I mean, we can assume that they were mistreated in this place. It sounds like a pretty sinister hospital, but we have no idea. So I was like, when we see the goblin thing, I was totally disinterested because I didn't know what it was or what it represented.
And, like, yeah, why is it, like, it would have been better if it was, like, a creepy, like, former patient.
Yeah.
That would've
Right,
been-
somebody that we knew their backstory, right? We
Right.
understand like why this ghost is out for revenge.
Which is what it seems to be otherwise from the other context clues, but then we have this weird CG or not or whatever it is goblin that shows up, and I'm just going. It seems like it's been teleported in from a totally different movie when it shows up.
Yeah, I want to see that movie.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's all I have to say
Anyways.
about
Well,
that.
that's it.
What a-
Shinga
Yeah,
Shinga to Archivo.
The moral of the story is just you should always you shouldn't date anyone who doesn't treat their servers well at restaurants, and you shouldn't date anyone who treats ghosts poorly either.
And just because you find footage doesn't mean you have to watch it.
Yeah, you don't have to make a documentary around found footage. Now, if this were actual footage, if this were an actual documentary,
Still wouldn't be scary.
no, you
No,
don't think so?
I don't think I would be spooked even by the goblin, which like you barely see.
Oh, if it was real?
Yeah.
Oh, I'd shit my pants.
Yeah, it'd be fucking terrifying.
I'd never sleep
if you
again.
saw this on like
There is
ABC
no-
News and they were like, "We found this footage. This is
That would be scary.
And
Yeah,
a guy getting sucked down a fucking hall? Yeah.
I would never sleep again."
It's
Yeah.
like, oh wow, this guy didn't remember stepping on this piece of glass, but there's a boot print there.
Oh
Spooky.
God, what a weird subplot.
Oh yeah, they were like comparing the treads on their shoes to determine if they actually stepped in certain places.
That's seen it on so long. There's like a portrait on the floor and it's cracked and there's like a boot print on it, and Mateo's like, No way. That's not my boot. I didn't step
What
on
size boot you wear,
glass.
bro? What you wear? 12? I got 11. That looks like a 12.
Let's see the bot. I didn't step on glass. Like, what? Who cares?
I would never step on glass. That wasn't me.
Oh, wow.
All right. Anyway, fuck this movie.
Lots of reading, too. This is all subtitled, so.
Yeah, it's a lot of effort.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. This movie did cost me something. Fuck. I want that time back.
Yeah, guys. Well, that's our movie.
What are we watching next time?
Next week, we are going to the Devil's Door. We're watching At the Devil's Door.
I hope we see the devil. I hope this movie
Can
delivers.
we please see something? Malboja or bust?
Better be Malbolgia.
Malbolgia or bust. Let's make bumper stickers.
I should look it up
I'm
on
ready.
IMDb and see if Malbolgia was in this. Has he been in anything since Spawn?
What's he doing these days?
I mean, he seemed kind of old, but
He had kind of a drug
Vivacious.
issue, you know. I think he's
he
kind of
did look pretty haggard in Spawn. I feel like that was
Yeah.
kind of the end. Like
He's kind of waiting for his Iron Man. He's waiting for his Robert Downey Jr. moment.
Well, I
his
hope he
comeback.
cleans up and gets well. But anyway, At the Devil's Door, it's called.
At the Devil's Door. Another film from IFC Midnight.
Wow.
Which
We'll have to tweet 'em.
They really front loaded all their films at the beginning of the alphabet, didn't they?
They sure did. Jesus, how many have we
it's
seen by now?
half our movies have been from IFC Midnight. If I ever want to get
I mean, I
this-
think they just
Are you
put
sure
out a
that's
lot of
not just
low-budget
half of horror movies?
Yeah,
I
I
see
think.
Midnight.
I don't know.
Yeah.
If I ever want to sell a movie though to IFC Midnight, it's going to be called like Aardvark Terror.
So that if anyone else tries to do a podcast where they watch every horror movie on Netflix, we get reviewed real quick.
real soon, right after all the numbers. All right, so yeah, join us next week. We're going to At the Devil's Door. Hey, you know what? Watch the movie yourself, and then when you come on next week,
It'll make a lot
it'll
more
make
sense.
a lot more
Informed.
sense. Yeah. But until then, you know where to find us online. Every horror movie on Netflix.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're on all your favorite podcast sources. Leave us a review. Give us 5 stars. Give us no stars. I don't care.
Don't give us no stars. Come on. Don't even offer that as an option.
4 or 5?
5 stars or
Not
bust.
4, 5 or bust, right?
All right. Well, for every horror movie on Netflix, I'm Chris.
I'm Patrick.
I'm Elizabeth.
I'm Steven.
See you next time.
Adios.
Hasta luego.